Larry Hardesty is with us, host for ESPN New York 98.7 and covers the Jets, the host for ESPN New York, and he joins us to talk some gangrene here. Good morning, Larry. Roger Weiland in Albany. How are you?
What's up? How are you?
I'm good, man. I guess the question is, the Jets have now won back-to-back games. They're 3-5. Is there still reason to be optimistic if you're a Jets fan about playoffs?
Mathematically, yes. But if you use the eye test, no.
No.
Excuse me. I mean, this team has not performed well. They still haven't solved the problems they have defensively. They still give up big plays. And you see what they do against better teams. The higher the caliber, you see their shortcomings. To be honest, guys, most of the fans I've talked to are ready to sit Ryan Fitzpatrick. They want to see what Bryce Petty can do.
Yeah,
They want to see what Christian Hackenberg can do. So they've kind of written off the season. They're ready to move on. But you understand, and you guys go in locker rooms all the time, as I do, to the 53 men in that locker room, they still think they have a chance. They still think that they can make the playoffs. They still think, because of what happened in Kansas City last year, who got off to the 1-5 start and got to the postseason, that they still have a shot.
How close do you think Todd Bowles was at halftime of making a quarterback change?
Because it was Bryce Petty, I don't think he was really close. Having said that, you know that if Geno Smith had been healthy, Geno Smith probably would have started that game yesterday. So, obviously, Ryan Fitzpatrick was on the short leash, but not that short, because you really don't know how much Bryce Petty has done practice-wise. He was on the puck with the shoulder, injury reserve, rather, with the shoulder situation that he put in training camp. So he's been practicing for about 3 weeks. He's elevated to the number 2, but I really think that Ryan Fitzpatrick would have had to do nothing in the third quarter before Todd Bowles went to Bryce Petty in the fourth.
And Larry, did you hear any of the reaction this week? Bowles, he don't even really name his backup quarterback. He was very irritable with the media this week in regards of, all right, who is your backup quarterback going into this game?
Well, listen, Bowles is a disciple of Bill Parcells. So when you're trying to ask him something he really doesn't want to tell you, he's from the Parcells school. He's going to give you some brushback. He's not going to tell you if he doesn't want to tell you. I really think, though, to be honest, he wasn't really sure, because Christian Hackenberg has been healthy all year. He's been taking some snaps, but you don't want to move him ahead of Bryce Petty, because that says to Bryce Petty, you're not really in our plan. You're not really moving along at the rate we wanted you to move along with. So I do think that it was a late decision that with Changaley and quarterback coaches and everybody else weighing in to say, all right, let's let Bryce Petty, we think he's more able to be the backup because of what they did in practices. So it will be interesting to see how those practices went that we no longer see because it's regular season.
Talking Jets football with Larry Hardesty, host for ESPN New York 98.7. Larry, where do you stand on Darrelle Revis being picked on yesterday in that first half? Are we seeing the end of Revis?
Well, I think you're seeing a sharp decline in Revis. I won't say the end because he's too much of a competitor to be that way. But obviously, he's not the same player he was when he left here. And you can see it. One of the reasons is his confidence of playing up on receivers. He gives them too much room now because I think he's concerned they will go past him and get burned as he was the first couple of weeks. So he's giving too much cushion. And that's one of the reasons why Terrell Pryor had such a big game and could have had a bigger game if they, had Stickum like they did back in the day in the National Football League, because he dropped a couple that would have been sure big plays.
Larry, is there any legitimacy to the Brandon Marshall trade rumors, or is that just, media creation, if you will?
Let me give you the term that everybody uses this time of the year. They use it 3 times of the year, guys. They use it during training camp, they use it during the draft, and they use it now. The Jets are doing their due diligence in trying to see what's out there for a market. Sheldon Richardson has also been mentioned in trade talks. There are teams that are calling the Jets about his availability. And they're listening, but they're not going to make a move. And really, when you think about it, it's really rare that a team makes a move, unlike baseball and basketball. It's really rare that you make a move in the middle of the season because the draft is so unknown. And the way the Jets are going, look, they're at the crossroads. They could easily be a lousy team that could be a top 3 team pick in the NFL draft if things go south. So I don't think they're going to make a move right now. I think they're going to stand pat. There's been some rumors out there about Brandon Marshall. Folks have called in to see what's available. As I mentioned, same thing with Sheldon Richardson. I don't think the Jets are going to budge.
Hey, I will say this, Larry, in the games that I'm watching here, Quincy Enunwa making a little name for himself, right? The guy that everyone I watch, he seems to be a guy that is making some plays out there.
The maturation and improvement from him from last year to this year has been scary. He's so much more confident. Even off the field, when you talk to him, out in the locker room, we do a show called Inside the Jets on Monday night at a restaurant in New Jersey. He came by there. Last year, he came by there. He was sweating so much he could have filled a glass of water. This year, he came by. He was just chilling, sitting back. So the confidence is so much different. And he says it's because it sounds funny, but he really knows what he's doing now. He doesn't have to think. It's second nature. He's familiar with the playbook, and you see him starting to make plays. And listen, if you're a Jets fan, that's pretty good because you've got a group of young receivers, Quincy Enunwa, Robbie Anderson, I think, is going to be very good. Jerome Peake, I think, is going to be very good. So you've got Jalen Marshall, if he can ever get on the field, and also Devin Smith, who's been injured on injured reserve for a year, just got off. The kid out of Ohio State that they drafted last year who could stretch the field. I think the Jets are going to have some young receivers in the future that are going to be really, really good, which is excellent because Eric Decker's been hurt 2 of the 3 years he's been here. Brandon Marshall getting up in age. So I think some of these young receivers are going to really be good if they can find a quarterback, guys.
Yeah, that's always that's always the question mark. Who is the quarterback of the team? I will say this. It makes a difference, too, when you're Enunwa and you're getting targeted. You're getting a chance. You're getting an opportunity. And then you make some plays and you gain some more confidence. And with the injuries that the Jets had at that position, now all of a sudden Quincy gets a chance in there and they're throwing the football to him and good things are happening. All right, Dolphins and Rams, Larry, are up next. What are the chances that this Jets team wins the next two and we're talking a 500 football team?
You know, it's unbelievable that we're even talking this way. I mean, after 1-5, I thought we were done. There's a possibility they could win both. Miami's going to be tough. Miami's very tough at home. I'm not a big Tannehill guy. He's just up and down. Hasn't really shown me that he's worth the money that they've paid him. But listen, against this defense in the secondary that has struggled, he can make some plays down the field. There's no question about it. So I think the Miami one's going to be the tougher one. I think the Rams will be a little bit easy with all due respect to their defense. But I think the Jets have a decent shot. They're going into the bye 5-5. And then they have some decisions to make because coming at 5-5, they've got New England for the first of 2 that they're going to face them in the second part of their season. So, you know, maybe that's when here's the problem for them. As they get to be 5-5 and you're still mathematically in, you don't get a chance to see Bryce Petty. You don't get a chance to see Christian Hackenberg unless things fall south later. So it's going to be interesting. 5-5 could be good for the veterans in the room, but for the bigger picture for the Jets, it might be a bad thing.
Larry Hardesty, great job as always. We appreciate a few minutes here on Big Board Sports in Albany.
Anytime, guys.
Thank you, Larry. That's the host for ESPN New York 98.7.